Hey, what's going on, guys? The Horror Man back with my ranking of the Subspecies franchise.
All you have is your fire, and the place you need to reach. Don't you ever tame your demon, but always keep 'em on a leash.
So, originally, my buddy Jason from Horrific Nightmares, my buddy Nick the Last Shoegazer, and I were all going to post our ranking videos for this franchise around the same time. However, I missed the queue. I somehow missed both of their videos being uploaded, and I don't know how. They completely got by me. Not only one of them, but both of them. So, here I am, fashionably late, with my ranking of the Subspecies franchise. The good news is, for anyone who already watched Jason's and Nick's videos, my ranking is somewhat different. And like both Jason and Nick, I will also be including the film Vampire Journals in this ranking, since it's technically part of the franchise. Subspecies is definitely one of my favorite vampire series, and Radu is one of the greatest vampires in cinema history. As always, when watching this, please keep in mind, like with all of my other ranking videos, this is just my opinion. I will be starting with my least favorite film in the series and working my way to my favorite. And so, here we go. My ranking of the Subspecies franchise. In last place is Subspecies 4, Bloodstorm. And let me tell you why. There's just a lot going on with this film. And it doesn't really feel like the other Subspecies films for some reason. I don't know what it is, but it's almost like there wasn't the same amount of passion put into it. And I don't mean to insult the film because I do enjoy it. It just doesn't have that same vibe as the first three Subspecies films. And it has the whole crossover with Vampire Journals, so there's a lot of that. It's not really focused on Radu as much as I'd like it to be. And with that being said, you might question, well, why do I have this ranked lower than Vampire Journals? Well, because Vampire Journals can actually be taken as a standalone film as well. It can stand on its own just fine, whereas Subspecies 4, you really need to see the first three and Vampire Journals to understand what is going on. And for that reason, Subspecies 4 Bloodstorm is my least favorite in the Subspecies franchise. Which brings me to Vampire Journals. So pretty much everything I was just saying about Subspecies 4 can be said about this. Obviously there's not enough focus on Radu because, well, he's not in this. This was basically set up to be a crossover with the Subspecies franchise, and it works as a standalone film. Ranking it in a video like this, yeah, it seems like it should be dead last. But, as I already stated when I was talking about Subspecies 4 Bloodstorm, at least this can stand on its own, whereas Subspecies 4 is too dependent on this film and the first three. So, that gives Vampire Journals just a slight boost that it needs to take the number 4 spot. Now, this is where it gets tricky, because even though I like Vampire Journals and Subspecies 4 Bloodstorm, I love the first three films. But one of them has to come next, and for me, it's Bloodstone Subspecies 2. There's no huge reason why, it's just that I prefer the other two films to this one. I do like the whole mother storyline with Radu's mother being a witch, and I like the introduction of Denise Duff as Michelle. I actually prefer her as the character of Michelle. But this movie does something pretty big at the beginning. I don't really want to spoil anything, but it sort of changes storylines. After watching the original, things just start out with a huge turn of events. And for that reason, I'm ranking Bloodstone Subspecies 2 in third place. And in what I'm sure is the shocking second place, the original Subspecies. I really went back and forth with this. This was so close to being my number one pick. As anybody who would rank it number one rightfully should. I mean, it's a great film. It's a fantastic vampire film. The atmosphere is killer. I mean, the setting in all of these films is just amazing. So if you haven't seen these films, for the setting alone, I highly recommend them. But now, why am I ranking the original film at number 2? Well, like I just said about Bloodstone, I just prefer, the other film, yet to be shown, to this one. Just slightly, though. Just slightly. There's really nothing I can say wrong about this one, except for maybe the fact that I do prefer Denise Duff as Michelle, and she's not Michelle in this one. But that's not really the reason why I'm ranking this second either. Some things that I love about this film, obviously the introduction of Radu. I love the fact that Angus Scrimm is in that. In this one, I'm a huge fan of Phantasm and Angus Scrimm, so it's really cool seeing him in this. I love the character of Stefan as well, and it's just moody and creepy, and I don't know, it just has all the right feels to it. It's almost the perfect vampire film. I really love the parade scene too, like that whole carnival scene or parade scene when everyone's wearing the masks. Yeah, I mean, that is just so atmospheric. It's such a memorable scene to me. But despite all of this, Subspecies is my number 2 pick. Because my number 1 favorite Subspecies film is Bloodlust Subspecies 3. As Jason mentioned in his video, he says they made Radu a bit more human in this one, and he sort of cited that as a negative, and I can understand that. I'm sure most people would. But for me, I actually enjoy that about this one. I love the relationship with Radu and Michelle. I love the fact that he is sort of teaching her. He almost becomes the mentor. There's a whole new relationship with them, and I like Michelle best in this film. I also think that this movie is the most atmospheric somehow. Despite everything I just said about the original Subspecies, because it does have an amazing atmosphere, there are certain scenes in this film that just really stick out to me. And they're not even major scenes. They're just these small scenes of, Michelle in the shadows, and then Radu in the shadows, and mist and fog. And it's just, there's just something about it that has always stuck with me. Again, don't get me wrong, I love all of these films, especially the first 3, but Bloodlust Subspecies 3 really has a place in my heart. I just love this one so much. And, again, this ranking is my personal opinion. So if we were talking about, the best Subspecies film, the best made Subspecies film, yeah, the original would probably take it. But personal preference, Bloodlust Subspecies 3 is my number 1 pick. I almost forgot to mention the awesome ending in this one. The series really should have ended here. It would have been a great finale for a trilogy. But, like every other horror franchise, they decided to continue. And that's another reason why Bloodlust Subspecies 3 is my favorite film in the franchise. Well, that's it, guys, for my ranking of the Subspecies franchise. I thank you for watching. Please be sure to check out Jason from Horrific Nightmares ranking video, as well as Nick the Last Shoegazers. They posted theirs maybe a week or 2 ago, a little bit longer, and as I said, I was planning on posting my video at the same time, and I just somehow dropped the ball on that. So, no one's fault, it just happens, I guess. But anyway, what do you think of my ranking? Comment below and let me know.